Real Chat episode 14, Bridesmaids.
You're going along with your life and you look around and you notice like, oh, I am in my 30s. I have $40,000 in debt. I live with a weirdo.
You do have a super creepy roommate.
You read my diary?
At first, I did not know that it was your diary. I thought it was a very sad, handwritten book.
Are you coming over tonight? I have big news. Ooh, I can't wait. I'm engaged.
What?
Will you be my maid of honor?
Of course.
You'll love the rest of the Bridesmaids.
I'd be more than happy to handle the bachelorette and the shower. I think I can handle it.
Annie, what is this place?
I know it looks a little scary on the outside. The food here is really, really good. Oh, look, you can get a check cash next door.
Come on. Helen, aren't you having any meat?
It's not good to eat a big meal before a fitting.
This is some classy shit. I want to apologize. I'm not even confident of which end that came out of.
You got food poisoning from that restaurant. No.
Everybody, go outside.
Be careful! We all got the flu. Such a coincidence. I feel like her life is going off and getting perfect, and mine's just like...
I need you to touch your nose with your finger.
If I was drunk, would I be able to do this?
I would hope so.
I wanted to go over some ideas for the bachelorette party.
I was thinking Las Vegas.
Strip club.
Disney World.
Fight Club.
Go to a fight club?
No, we're not going to go to a fight club.
Okay.
We're going to be the Fight Club.
Vegas it is.
I'm a nervous flyer, I'm sorry.
I had a dream last night that we went down. You were in it.
What?
You should just toss it back.
I'm ready to party!
You're like the maid of dishonor.
I was gonna leave you till you kissed me. I wanted to leave you, then you kissed me.
We're gonna take this huge step, and I'm gonna be there right next to you. I am dead serious. Dead serious.
Will you marry me? Yes.
Do you have a date for the wedding? Because I have a great guy for you.
I'm gonna just hang down here with my son Tyler and be back in a minute.
Sure. Did you eat one of those?
Late Saturday.
Chick flicks don't have to suck. Everybody, welcome to episode 14 of Real Chat, a podcast that promises week in, week out, the real world as we know it. Today we're looking at 2011's Bridesmaids, one of the surprise sleeper hit comedies of the current decade, directed by a man many regard as one of the most talented and visionary comedy directors of the modern era. The talented filmmaker of which we speak is none other than Paul Feig, also known for his work on The Heat, this year's Spy, and the upcoming all-female Ghostbusters reboot in 2016. My name's Adam Stolfo, and I'm joined here today, as usual, by co-host Brose Avard. Brose, how are you today?
I'm great. How can you not be great after watching this film? I watched it twice. I watched it with the commentary and then watched it without the commentary, and I closed my eyes and all I see is Bridesmaids.
And we make you watch films numerous times quite a bit as part of the preparation for this show as well.
As part of the structure.
Also joined over here as usual by Andrew McCaskill. Andrew, how you doing?
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, a great choice of film. I really enjoyed watching this again. I mean, I've watched it a few times now, and it's just as good every time.
And a big special welcome to our first special guest, Joe Stanley. Joe, welcome to Real Chat.
Am I really your first special guest?
You absolutely are.
First cab off the rank. So
wow. I feel quite honoured.
We're going to use the word special quite a lot during the show. We were trying to get Bruce McAvaney, we're just using the same script.
Spare issue. 2 milestones today, Joe.
Yes.
Not only are you our first special guest, but you're also the first female panel member of Real Chat, and we've been meaning to do this for a while.
Undoubtedly, I am a female, so I've ticked that box. That's great.
So, it's fantastic. Now, for the whole 2 listeners who perhaps don't actually know your work, Joe is well-established Australian television and radio personality, currently hosting Weekend Breakfast on today's Hit Network. Mm-hmm. But, of course, Joe will always be well-respected for a 10-year stint with Fox FM's very successful Matt and Joe show.
Yeah, that's nice. Well-respected is a nice term. It's not what I would have associated with 10 years of breakfast radio, but...
What would the more appropriate term be, Joe?
Well, certainly our audience loved us, which is really nice, and people still stop and chat to me, and I was a part of their lives for 10 years and they were part of mine, so that was really nice, but I'm not sure if I was respected.
It's the weird thing, isn't it, with radio, where radio is one of those few mediums that's still quite segmented in terms of demographic.
Yes.
Whereas, radio, it really is divisive still, and it's always been that way, so the Triple M audience wouldn't respect you at all. I imagine.
Absolutely not. No, they probably perhaps didn't know I was there. But, to make a radio show work, you must have an audience that, very, very in that key demographic, and they love you dearly. But, they become very loyal in a nice way. Yeah.
So you're certainly no novice when it comes to expressing an opinion. So that's why it's a key criteria here on Real Chat.
Sure.
So, another reason why you're a super first guest for us.
First guest. Wow, we've jumped from special to super.
I should have come in some kind of superhero costume, it seems.
Well, let's just tell people you did.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
Now, we gave Jo the opportunity to choose a film for us to have a look at today, and she chose Bridesmaids.
Yes.
So, Jo, why this film? Like, what made this film stand out and demand our utmost attention some 4 years after its initial release?
I wanted to choose a film that I knew very, very well, and Bridesmaids is one of my go-to films when there's nothing to watch, and usually it's like, a weekend night, and the child is in bed and I've got a bottle of wine and I'm like, yep,
so
that looks like...
What you're saying is that you just have this on the TV so it looks like you're doing something vaguely constructive.
Oh, no. I was sitting alone in the dark drinking wine.
What are you doing? Watching Bridesmaids. Where's the bottle opener?
Yeah. But it's just, I've watched it so many times because it never, ever, ever gets tired for me, and the jokes are always brilliant. A great film and incredibly good writing, when the jokes are coming, you could repeat it as it's being said and you still laugh.
Well, one of the great things about this film, and I realised it more and more, that, watching it in preparation for today, the whole script is built around the idea of improvising lines, and there's so many talented improvisers in this film, and so it really could have been a choose-your-own-adventure of a film at the end of the day, because there's so many different joke options, and in the extras they show you all the different variations of the line.
Really? Oh, you've done your homework.
And sometimes, I got stuck in. Yeah. But sometimes these types of films don't work. And Will Ferrell is popular for doing this as well on set. We'll improvise 8, 9, 10 different joke lines for some sequences, and then they'll just choose the funniest one in the edit suite. But this one works. Like, it just... The energy and the girls get along so well.
Yes.
It's such
So that's interesting to me, though, because, I, having not done my homework and not watched the director's commentary, although my husband, who is a real film buff, he said, you should do that. It's there. We've got the DVD. And I'm like, yes. Didn't do it.
I love director's commentaries, but I absolutely get it. I understand why 95% of people don't watch them.
Kind of felt like it would ruin the film for me a bit. But in my imagination,
they do.
Having not done that homework, I had sort of, because I, as a writer, kind of understand the writing process and had imagined them in a writing room and that the script was really kind of tight. But
I guess
is that not the case?
The other thing that's quite interesting, and I think this is what happens this is the Judd Apatow school of film writing.
Yeah.
And I think there's also an element of creating a myth about the way they create these films.
Sure.
So I think it's great to have all those alternate options on the DVD commentary, on the DVD extras, but I think often they will go back to what was originally in the script when they
Yeah.
I think part of it's that myth making of it being this bigger, more exciting process. It's that kind of thing where it's like, we improvise a lot, and then the director will say, we just use the script, basically. Yeah. Or directors will say, I let them do whatever they want.
I feel like directors do that for the actors, so that the actors feel like they're a part of the collaborative process.
And provide a more genuine performance if they've just been allowed to goof off for a while. I know when I've been on set and people are allowed to improvise, you just end up with a lot of longer scenes.
Yes.
The point.
Yes.
They might be funny, but they lose context, and it's just funny. Can
be very self-indulgent, I think. If you've got the budget to do that, well, more power to you. How you managed to get that money, I don't know. I was just going to say, I just really love that you've labelled this chick flicks don't have to suck, because that's one of the joys about the film to me, is that Kristen Wiig tricked men into liking a chick flick.
Absolutely right.
And all based around the greatest fart joke in the history of film, I think, when they end up actually shitting in the street.
This we don't see that in chick flicks.
No, well, and what happened for me was that I brought it was my turn to choose the film, which actually never happens. Like, my husband chooses all the films we see. And this one particular night, I said, okay, we're going to see this film. I knew nothing about it other than I love Kristen Wiig. And he's like, chick flick. And so he agreed to come. And he was sort of like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of into this film. And then once the shitting started, he realised, he was in. And I just thought, gosh, Kristen Wiig is so clever. And I imagine her going, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to put a fart joke in there, but it's like farting is not enough. Let's have them shitting in a wedding dress.
Vomiting and shitting.
But all of them.
Yeah,
except for one, except for Rose Byrne. Like all of them in the same sequence. It's like they just piled it one on top of the other. It's like, no, we can do better than one. We can do two. We can do three, four.
We're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves a little bit, but Kristen Wiig in that scene is hilarious where she's with Rose Byrne and trying not to lose her lunch.
Yes.
Figuratively, and she just looks so pained. And,
it's great. I love that scene.
And I was saying in the commentary that she had a water bottle in her hand, which you can't see in shot, and she put it up. So when they cut to the reverse of Rose, she'd squirt her face again.
Yeah, right.
And they put it back down, so she was getting sweatier and sweatier.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Oh, those marzipan things, those horrible marzipan things. Yeah.
So
oh, Kristen Wiig is such a brilliant actress. So yeah.
This is the 12th episode of our Vintage Vault Retrospective series, a conscious effort to tie in selected shows with something of relevance to the present. What a better time than now to look at Paul Feig's feature film directional debut, because his stature is going up.
Let me say, if anybody anywhere has any doubts about Paul Feig's reboot of Ghostbusters, watch this film and relax.
Well, it's it's almost exactly the same cast, isn't it? Well, it's Kristen Wiig
and Melissa McCarthy. And then there'll be Liesl Jones and I always forget the other girl's name, which is embarrassing. But one of the great things about Ghostbusters is Ivan Reitman allowed these great improvisers to improvise. And we've got these amazing, unique performances. And Paul Feig is going to let these girls just run wild. And it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, they're incredible. Melissa McCarthy just takes my breath away. She's so funny.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a real coming of age role for her in this film as well, because what's happened to her role-wise as well since Bridesmaids.
Yes.
McCarthy
quite unique.
She's got a similar path that Will Ferrell was on, in that for, 10 years, Will Ferrell was the best thing about some of the shittest films ever made.
Yes.
So you'd watch this really bad, horrible film, and then Will Ferrell would pop up, and you're like, I just need more scenes with him.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he have his own films? And then eventually he started making, starring in his own films. Melissa McCarthy's the same. You keep watching all these films that are, it's all right. And then you get to her scenes. What's that one? The 40-something.
Oh, yeah, this is 40. She is beyond.
Oh, my God, she's hilarious.
She's so beyond.
So funny.
What is she? The principal?
No, she's one of the other mothers. And
that's right. That's right.
Flagging it off.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
So funny.
Andrew, what are some of your initial thoughts on Bridesmaids?
I think it's because there's a lot of comedies that are just not very good these days, and I think that this is just an absolute standout film. I mean, I just say that I always go to this film as well because I know I'm going to have a huge laugh. It's one of the great comedies of the last 5 years, and there hasn't been anything really close to it, I would say, since. I mean, I think another film that is worth mentioning is very similar in some ways is Young Adult, which came out the same year.
Okay.
By Dablo Cody, which is a very black comedy. But they were both very much... It was a great year because those two came out, and there's been air in between them since.
Yeah, I think the common theme we've already discovered here is that it seems to be designed for a female audience, but it's got a hell of a lot of material in it that guys can just identify with.
Well, I love hearing you say that because as a woman watching it, the way she's able to weave in such uniquely female relationships, and when there are lines like, why couldn't you? Oh, I wrote it down because I just loved it. Let me see if I can find it in my scribbled notes. Excuse me. Oh, why can't you be happy for me and then go home and talk about me behind my back like a normal person, right? Like that is such a uniquely female thing.
Yeah.
But I watch my husband and he pisses himself laughing at that.
Yeah.
So I love hearing that men can they're not sort of shut out by that very distinctly female experience.
Yeah. With the exception of Chris O'Dowd, who obviously plays the love interest, the other men in the movie, though, are like stereotyped males.
Yeah,
particularly the one that she's got the casual relationship.
Yeah,
John Hamm is funny in this, and it's John.
He's so great.
People keep talking about how funny John Hamm is, and they talk about he hangs around Saturday Night Live and how funny he is. It wasn't until this film that I actually saw him being funny. He is hilarious in this film. He's so. And apparently in the there's two versions of all the sequences with John Hamm where he's more of an asshole than he is in the film. He's abusing her to her face, but with that charming smile, the whole way through. So, and she's just falling for it all. But they toned it back after the preview screening. But he is brilliant. He's hilarious. When he picks her up on the side of the road, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing for the next half hour?"
If you're feeling sleepy, you want to have a red.
Yes. And it's hard to, it's one of those lines that on a page you'd go, oh, gee, would anybody even say that? Is that so extreme? But then he does pull it off, doesn't he? Because he is so handsome too. And but again, that uniquely female way of, what I loved is that she shows us chicks behaving badly in a way that we really do. And, that, we had an adult sleepover and like, did he sleep over in your mouth? It's so great.
I think one of the other keys to this film, and it's a little theory I've got bubbling around in the back of my head anyway, the best female comedians, and this goes all like Lucille Ball, and even earlier back in, all the way back at the start of cinema, the best female comedians are ones that are happy to do what I call ugly comedy. They're happy to look ugly, they're happy to look bad. Whereas you get a comedian who's only wants to look gorgeous all the way through a film and only wants to look stunning and be the sex symbol woman as well as the funny woman, doesn't work. And that's not real life anyway.
No.
So someone like Kristen Wiig, and what I love about her, and she does remind me of Lucille Ball, not so much in their style, but Lucille Ball was happy to make herself look less attractive for the joke to work. And she was happy to put herself in a situation where she looked stupid or she looked ugly or she looked, idiotic, if that's what the joke requires.
Oh, absolutely.
Kristen Wiig did it on Saturday Night Live, and she does it in this film, and that's, I think, what makes her... And she's in Flight of the Conchords, and she's hilarious in that. She's got the wandering eye.
Oh, yeah.
Barbara. I don't think there's a name in the Barbara. But that willingness, and Melissa McCarthy obviously does it as well.
Yeah, well, you never let pride get in the way of a good joke.
Exactly. But plenty of people do.
So this is a Universal Pictures release. It was released on the 13th of May 2011 in the US and the 16th of June 2011 in Australia. Though it was primarily set in Milwaukee and Chicago, the film was shot primarily in Wisconsin, California, and Illinois. Yeah. With an estimated budget of $32.5 million, but how's this? It grossed $288 million worldwide.
Wow.
That couldn't possibly have been just all female.
No. Broad audience film. It's weird because you made the chick flick line at the top, and I don't even see this as a chick flick. I see this as a comedy.
Well, it is, except that the first time I watched it, I thought the worst part about it was the romance. The Chris O'Dowd.
What didn't you like about that?
Because I kind of thought, it just felt really wet in a way. But then upon further viewing, now I love that because I think it is kind of real in that relationships form not in particularly exciting ways. Yeah. And so it was very kind of pedestrian, which I loved.
It was dangerous. Like, it could have easily gone that way. It could have been really trite and the worst element of the film. But Chris O'Dowd, I think...
He's so lovable.
He's incredible.
The problem we had with Easy A, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, where the romantic angle in that just doesn't fit and doesn't work and is irrelevant to the plot, but gives us the ending, I suppose. It gives us the romantic happy ending. Whereas in this film, it's that Chris O'Dowd storyline easily could have felt forced in. Casting is exceptional. Chris O'Dowd's so charming and just so funny.
Just that awkward initial thing on the side of the road, we're just like, we're not all bad. I'm the best of them. It's just so awkward, but it's lovable at the same time.
But do you know what the thing about Bridesmaids, which as a female comic and writer and someone who aspires to be able to create anything, like if I could get anywhere near something as good as that kind of writing, I'd be very happy and probably say, okay, I retire now, that's done. But it was hailed as, isn't this fantastic that women can actually do this sort of thing? Women have been doing it forever, but it just got this recognition finally that it can be uniquely female, that you can have a bunch of women on the screen, really, really funny women that are so strong and at times very unlikable, and at times there's such a broad spectrum of personalities in there.
Because she's the bitch, but you still have an affection for her as well. There's still an empathy for her, and it's
she's so likable in a really bitchy kind of way, and it's weird.
It's almost like it's aspirational. She's like almost aspirational, but. I don't know, it's incredible.
That revelation in the car when she's kind of like...
Yeah.
That is amazing how you just you hate her. Like, you really do hate her for most of the film, and in after that, you kind of just get her and understand that she's a really insecure mess, and it's a brilliant performance.
Oh, the ugly crying. You're really ugly crying. No, I'm not. But, what really irritated me in and around this film was that people were surprised that women could hold a film. And it's like, oh, come on. Sex and the City is a great example. Women can hold a film, and plenty of guys went and saw Sex and the City.
So this film was directed by Paul Feig, as we mentioned off the top. He's an American director, actor, and author. Along with Judd Apatow, he created the critically acclaimed show Freaks and Geeks, and has directed several episodes of The Office and Arrested Development.
The American Office, let's point that.
The American Office, that's right. So he's also done select episodes of 30 Rock, Parks and Recreation, Mad Men, and other television series. So he's also done a couple of acting roles as well. Apparently he was Sabrina's science teacher on the first season of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So while his official directing debut was earlier, it wasn't until 2011's Bridesmaids that Feig really made a name for himself. And in recent years, he's laid the groundwork for further projects of note.
It's worth just talking about... Has anyone seen the film The Heat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like
it's bad.
Was the elements were there? Like
Melissa McCarthy brilliant in it?
This is the one with Sandra Bullock, yeah? She, as you were saying, Brose, she makes the scenes better because she's in them. But as a film in general, I just thought it was dreadful. And Sandra Bullock made me want to punch the screen. She was just really...
But it's that thing of like the improvisation that doesn't work, I think, because there's clearly the confidence of Bridesmaids coming into that film, and then they just go off tap. And it's just... It ends up being lots of scenes of people just screaming at each other and not being very funny. So there is that flip side, I guess, where there's a balance there, and I don't know how you get it. Like, I just think you're either on or you're off on the day, or
could it be about the casting and that if you have that magic, you know, that sort of intangible chemistry with someone, that the improv comes. And perhaps Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock. They were great, and I like Sandra Bullock as an actress in general, but maybe she just doesn't have that kind of connection with Melissa.
Ultimately, it could have just been a really bad script.
It just sort of was.
Yeah. It's like, this isn't a great scene, and maybe McCarthy and Bullock are just throwing everything at it. They're just trying to, maybe they're just trying to work with a bad script, and maybe they weren't allowed to improvise as much as they'd have liked, because, there's that thing where you're given a bad script and you're like, what do you do with this? And you just go over the top. You throw everything at it as a performer and just try and...
I think that's exactly what's happening.
Maybe that's what... And then the director doesn't have the... You need light and dark. You need subtleties.
Yeah. Well, I want to see Melissa McCarthy do something that's not someone who is really hardcore in your face, and then you really discover they've got a troubled background. Because she's done that in The Heat. She did that in that film with Jason Bateman. What was that film where she was...
what was that?
Identity theft.
Yep. Identity theft.
Yeah, same thing. And there was another one where she's on the run or something, and it's the same thing that, you discover that she's got some troubled background. And it's just sort of the same character over and over. And that kind of troubles me, because I think that often women get typecast because people can't see them, that they could be multifaceted. Yeah. And also someone her size, I think, gets typecast all the time.
Yeah, she's in danger of becoming the fat clown.
There's no reason why she couldn't be like the female John Candy, just doing multiple different roles, different characters.
Yeah, I haven't seen St. Vincent, but apparently she does a drama turn in that and is very good.
Oh, yeah?
I'm yet to see it. So I'm excited about seeing that performance, because it'll be good to see her show some other dimensions. Because, when she's playing a supporting role, I guess she only has so much time on screen anyway, and she wants to maximise every second of it.
Yes.
But it'd be nice to see her do a fuller, more developed character. And like you're saying, not just... she's a crazy bitch and this is why. It's like everyone has a bit of crazy in them, and everyone has a bit of serious in them, and so on and so forth.
I've got this great quote here from Paul Feig, which really hit a chord with me. I just really like the way he phrased it. What's great about the geek spirit is that life never seems to stop us, and they never seem to kill our enthusiasm, our optimism, and our hunger to experience the world. We keep our sense of humour, we protect our dignity, we talk to our friends about the experience, and then we start again fresh the very next day. I really like that.
Do you think it gets to a point where you're so successful you're no longer a geek?
Yeah, I do.
He can't claim geek anymore. He's a part of the cool crowd now, isn't he? And Judd Apatow as well.
He certainly looks the part. He dresses. He directs in a suit and tie, doesn't he?
That's cute.
Yeah.
But come on, he's hanging out with Kristen Wiig on a daily basis.
Yeah.
He's working for Judd Apatow. He's at the apex of the comedy film industry at the moment.
Now, Kristen Wiig co-wrote this film along with Annie Mumolo, or was it Mumolo? Yeah. So the script was originally titled Maid of Honor and was written by these two. Now, have they worked together before?
So these two met at the Groundlings in LA, which is the improv theatre company. And then when Kristen was cast for SNL, Annie stayed in LA and Kristen moved to New York. And they wrote this while Kristen was still at SNL. So they were writing back and forth in the summer when SNL wasn't on TV, Kristen would fly back to LA and they'd write together, and then Annie had a baby, so then Annie was out of action for a few months, and so it took, I think it's like 2 or 3 years to write the script, and doing it piecemeal, kind of back and forth in bits and pieces, and then they'd send a draft off to Judd, because Judd basically mentored them through the process, which all points to Judd for seeing the talent of these two girls long before, especially to write a film script, long before anyone else had seen. Annie at this point was a performer writer, like Kristen was. They hadn't written a film script before, and Annie had done a bit of TV work, so writing and stuff. So just plucked them virtually out of nowhere, gave them the confidence. But yeah, he'd give them notes and they'd go off and think, oh shit, we've got to start all over again, basically. But so great to have that support from Judd Apatow, but then these girls just working so feverishly in their spare time to write this amazing script, and it is a very well structured script.
Well, Judd Apatow does seem to have that. He's a bit of a benefactor in a way, like, because he's done it, with Lena Dunham, of course. Yeah. He's totally mentored her through Girls and has been the making of her, which is amazing. And I think this film was the making of Kristen Wiig.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kristen Wiig was the highlight of SNL when she was on.
Yeah. But now she's a superstar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no doubt this film was a big reason for that, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
The cinematographer of this film is Robert Yeoman. I'll just put the song over the top of that.
Yeah, you should never work with that guy, because he'd get sick of that joke.
Oh, he so would. Very, very quickly.
Yeoman, do what I mean.
Yeah, you think you're the only person that's made that joke? No.
In fact, I might just re-record over the top of it, just say it as normal as possible.
I actually don't know how you pronounce Yeoman?
Yeoman, something
I'm
like
guessing.
That. Yeah, we're going to say
I'm glad you went there.
Robert Yeoman.
Isn't that the first lyric to YMCA? No, it's Young Man. Okay.
Young Man, yes.
You shot that music video, though.
Yeah. Andrew, what did you think of Robert Yeoman's work in this?
Yeah, I mean, it's with comedies, I guess it's difficult because there's no hugely stylistic kind of look to a lot of comedies. I mean, in this one, just required a very natural kind of look to it. But there's definitely some. It's a really beautiful looking film for a comedy. It's really, especially on Blu-ray, it looks fantastic.
Looks great.
And there's some really obvious choices there. It's just with John Hamm's house is always in this kind of blue, kind of cold, kind of clinical asshole-ish kind of vibe to it, basically, which I love.
Is that when you walk into a doctor's office and you just think, wow, this is a bit asshole-ish?
Or when
you're an asshole.
Yeah, when someone's painting their house, I'm after an asshole. Have you got that in a gloss?
I don't know if that's what he's going for, but that's what I picked up from it. And yeah, I mean, just a generally good-looking film, really. I mean, there's not much you can really draw out as being like a stylistic choice. I don't think it doesn't draw attention to.
Except I do love, the scenes where she's on the side of the road, and there's a few of them. When her car breaks down and she's on that long stretch of road. There's I loved that kind of image of isolation.
Yeah.
And she's in that shitty car quite a lot. And, when you see her, when she's driving into the bridal shower party and she's down that long driveway, like, she's got the lemonade and she's like, shit, that is fresh. Yeah, shit.
They do use long shots and wider shots to really capture her isolation. It's really well done.
That tennis game as well, beautifully.
Yes.
Beautifully shot.
Yeah.
He also does well at keeping the camera loose to capture the improvisation. So there's a lot of two shots and wider two shots and things that are really well framed. They can be really tricky. And the scene when they're at the Brazilian restaurant for the dress fitting, again, a really tough scene to shoot with. Is it 4 on each side or 3 on each side? Trying to keep there's 3 shots in there that actually look quite good, and 3 shots are really difficult to frame up. So there's some really nice subtle stuff in there to help the comedy. It doesn't get in the way of the comedy. It's not bigger than the comedy.
Yeah.
He services it really well.
Well, my husband is a filmmaker. Yeah. He shot a film. When did we do this? I can't remember. Anyway, we got into Tropfest this year, end of last year. And I think in seeing the way he shot that and the challenge in making a joke work when you're creating, your shot list and all that blew my mind. Because it can make and break a joke. And there are a few scenes that he put in his film when he's edited it, that I kind of went, I was a bit pissed off because I lost some of my gags. I was in it, by the way. I lost some of my gags, and he was like, "Oh, well, we didn't sort of shoot it in the right way for that joke to work." Yeah. So, and because he's so inexperienced, so yeah, I have so much respect. No, it's his first, not his first film, but one of his first. Well, he hasn't made one since, so I should stop talking. But it's a great film, Shotgun Wedding. It's called Shotgun Wedding.
What the hardest things to do is to actually get a film put together.
Yeah, and he got it into twelfth, and in fact, I played a bridesmaid. Now that I think about it,
see Shotgun Wedding. Yeah.
Pardon? You can see it on the YouTubes and on the twelfth website.
Nice.
Yeah,
check it out.
See Jo acting her ass off.
Yeah, but my point about that was, I have a huge amount of respect for people who are able to shoot and edit comedies, because it's not easy.
I think is key in this film. Like, the rhythm of this film is so spot on.
Yeah,
the gags, like the just the timing of their delivery, and then the space to give them before the next line and the reaction. It's incredible.
Watching it last night, I was speaking to Brose about this just before we started, actually. There are some scenes that go on a hell of a lot longer than you expect from a modern movie.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Like, as in, it's almost like we're going to hold it, we're going to keep...
Well, there's silence. There's like moments of deafening silence that is really quite brave for a film to do these days. And it works so well. And I think that editing is something that doesn't really get talked about enough with the success of comedies, because it's absolutely integral.
Yeah, there's a beautiful pace to it. Even, in those opening scenes when she's in the cafe, Kristen and her best friend, the bride, I can't remember her name, but Lillian, that's right. That beautiful, just gentle kind of the way girls talk over a coffee. Almost when it started, I was like, oh, this is really kind of slow, which I loved, because the comedy just sort of melts out of them in a really gentle way.
They have such amazing chemistry.
Oh, it's
the
great.
movie doesn't feel like it's in any sort of rush.
No.
It's like we're just going on this journey with these characters, and you're going to experience these key moments in this story.
But then when it counts, it's so rapid fire. Like when they're dealing with the food poisoning in the bridal fitting, as they're bursting into the toilet, and it's brilliant. Yeah. And on the plane, when they come around the corner and they do that beautiful slow motion as they're getting onto the plane.
Yeah, that's a great
The plane sequence is really quite a long chunk of the movie. Like, it just goes on and on, but it just doesn't drag at all. Like, it's the performances are so good.
Well, because there's like 3 stories happening at the same time.
Kristen Wiig's drunk performance is really well paced.
And believable.
So believable. And drunk can be really hard to make believable, because it can be so hammy.
Yeah, and it's also she wasn't doing a drunk scene just for the sake of it. There's an important part of the story, and there is, all the truth comes out during that scene. What a great way to get truth out when you're drunk. And that's what you do. She's stressed and she's depressed, so she drinks, and then everything just comes out. It's a really clever way to tell that part of the story without it being mawkish, or without it seeming, if they just sat down and had a conversation, it'd seem kind of weird. But put Kristen Wiig in a vulnerable position and then reveal herself is really well done.
But also what I love about that whole plane thing is that conversations happen on planes, because you've got nothing else to do.
Exactly.
So you are sitting next to someone you barely know, and then you end up pashing, which is but just, things happen on planes. So,
Is that something else you want to share?
I've never ended up pashing someone on a plane that I didn't already know. But that scene between the older woman, Rita, and what was her name, Becca, where they ended up kissing, having a cheek kiss. So funny.
So let's get into the cast in a little bit more detail. Obviously, we've touched upon her quite a bit. Kristen Wiig in her first leading role. Yep. She's really quite extreme in this film, really, isn't she?
She's so good at performances.
Is she likeable?
Yeah, I think she is.
Definitely.
I think so, yes. Although I remember having a conversation with my husband after we saw it the first time, explaining why she told Chris O'Dowd to fuck off. Remember how he tried to make her make the cake, and she sort of ended it there. Yeah. And my husband was like, well, why would a woman do that? Like, he's being nice and, you know, chicks are weird and all this sort of shit. And I said, well, yeah, because she just, I don't know, women react badly sometimes, and that can be very unlikable, but it's sort of very human too.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that, to be honest. I just thought that... Like,
we all know nice guys finish last. We know that. It's not new news.
Particularly in the world of film as well. Like, always finish last.
Well, I mean, that's one of the great things about those two characters, the John Hamm and the Chris O'Dowd characters, is they're both... I mean, that seems pretty much right, isn't it? Like,
they're two extremes, really.
Like, chicks love the assholes.
That moment when they meet each other, you know, just briefly, when he just kind of like, looks him up and down and just gives him a smug... it's just like, it's so tense. It's just like two characters you know so well, and just like, what's going to happen? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And also, in her favour, you know, on the likeable stakes, when she was being particularly self-indulgent and full of self-pity... You know, they brought in Melissa McCarthy to tell her to snap out of it. So you got a little moral.
I like that.
You know, they brought a little moral in there as well. You know, your problem is you, and you can be your solution as well.
Yeah,
so they like a moral.
That's a really clever point. A really clever moment too in terms of the scripting, because Melissa McCarthy's character is so funny.
Yes,
and then to give her that moment. It's easy. It's an easier pill to swallow. She has a spoonful of sugar with that particular. Sometimes it can be so mawkish and hokey when they deliver the moral. But she is so funny in that sequence, and she's such a funny character anyway. And they do that wrestle on the couch.
Yeah, great.
Which is hilarious. So it kind of helps. Yeah, again, just sweetens up the
and she hits her, and then that's when she goes like, "Oh, good to see a bit of spark in there." And stuff. It was good. Yeah, it's good. Maya Rudolph plays Lillian. What do you guys think of her performance? I guess she's really... I feel that she's really pushed into the background, isn't she?
Yeah, Maya Rudolph can be so funny. Like, she's definitely... Like, on the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, Maya Rudolph and Martin Short did a bit together, and she was by far one of the funniest things in the whole 3.5 bloody hours of that special. So she is an hilarious woman. In this film, she's kind of the straight woman.
She is.
And she's stuck between, Rose Byrne and Kristen Wiig. She doesn't get... actually... When I first saw it, and I kind of felt a bit sorry for Maya that she doesn't get to show as much of her comedy chops that she has. There's those nice moments with her and Kristen where they're... Obviously, you can see that chemistry, and you can really enjoy their real-life friendship. You can see it come across on screen. But yeah, I felt bad for her because I love her. I think she's hilarious.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I didn't know her work before I saw the film, and I thought she was great as the bride, and I was surprised subsequently to discover that she was a comedian. But at the same time... You know, she brought some really great one-liners, you know.
Yeah, she just has some nice ones.
I love my new bleached asshole, you know. So, you know, and
in that food poisoning scene, she is hilarious.
So good. And I kind of felt like Kristen obviously needed someone she could trust in that role, and you know, turned to a dear friend and said, you know, I need you, and I think she stepped up.
Goes to her apartment when she goes missing. All that stuff's really sweet and very nice. So, yeah.
Australia's own Rose Byrne
extraordinary.
Plays Helen. You'd say that she'd be better known for being a dramatic actress in projects like Sunshine and Damages when she was cast as Helen, but this was mainly down to her performance in Get Into the Greek. So everyone on Bridesmaids was genuinely surprised, I think, at Byrne's ability to do improv comedy during the shoot, from what I understand. Best exemplified in the scene at the engagement party where she tries to, you know, one-up Annie's tribute speech. Yeah. Which, I'll just jump ahead for just a second, Brose, as well. That probably is my favourite scene in this film, because that does that comedy thing where it goes on for a while, you go, haha, it's funny, and then suddenly it goes on a little bit longer and it's like, actually, you guys wrapping this up soon, but then goes that little bit further and
awkward.
Gets funny again.
So awkward.
Awkward to the max, and that's what I loved about it. Like, so... how do you guys think that Rose Byrne does in this role?
Oh, she's phenomenal. I love her as a comic actress. I mean, she's a brilliant actress in any sort of role. I didn't particularly like her in the recent Annie, but I think the recent Annie was...
Saw that?
Well...
I refuse.
I did... well, it was for work. I had to interview... I think it was Rose Byrne I interviewed, actually. And I did let you know in on a secret as far as my 90-minute rule before we started this, which is I leave the film at 90 minutes. I don't think any film should be longer. For extremely bad films, I have a 60-minute rule. And for Annie, I think I last about 45 minutes. So it's not great. It's not a great film. But I think Rose Byrne is amazing in comic roles. And Get Him to the Greek, oh, my gosh, she's so funny as that crazy, she was British, I think, pop star. Have you seen that? Well, there's a video clip that she records in there, and I think the song is called Put a Posy on It or something, and it's basically about anal sex. And she's super sexy and really kind of flirty in this thing, but the lyrics are just filthy, and she just pulls it off beautifully. She's amazing. Yeah,
you couldn't imagine her career trajectory from something like Wishes in Troy, where she was just the pretty little thing for Brad Pitt to have his way with, and she didn't get anything in that film, and then she's become this comic, just star, and she's just the go-to person now for all those really edgy comedies.
It's interesting what they did with her character as well, the way that they were setting her up to be like the character, we're going to hate this woman.
Yeah.
By the end of the movie, you sort of understand a little bit more about where she's coming from.
How hard is that to pull off? I mean,
that's hard to do.
Yeah, and
it's very well.
It's hard to write as well, because again, it can be so cliche, and you get those sort of cliche female roles, particularly where you just go, it's trite. But to be able to have that, to be able to write something that's so multifaceted is clever.
To write something like that, you need to have confidence that you can cast it.
Yeah,
they're lucky with Rose Byrne. I mean, like you said, get into the Greek, but that's a completely different performance to what this role is. More complex, a little bit more going on. And obviously she brought it in the room and the casting, but to write that kind of role, and then if you miscast it, then the whole film falls apart.
Absolutely. And on the page, you don't necessarily get the sense of that passive aggressive way she relates. And we all know as women people who feel poisonous like that. Don't boys. Well, it's just when you're at school or at work or whatever, uni, there's always someone who's just in their smile, that they're hating you, and Rose brings that. She brings that. It's amazing.
How hard is that to pull off?
You
totally get that tension between them, that they're being nice to each other, but it's just so cutting.
Right from the start.
It's horrible.
It's so good.
Yeah, so we've pretty much looked at Melissa McCarthy, so we'll sort of move along. But Ellie Kemper plays Becca. How do you think that she does?
I love Ellie Kemper. I loved her in The Office. I've just finished watching the Tina Fey series.
Oh, really? I can't wait to see that.
And I guess the criticism of Ellie Kemper is that she plays the same role. She's got the sweetness and light, but kind of funny, and then she gets the big laughs from dark moments because it contrasts her characters. But I don't care. She's hilarious at it. So just keep doing it until, it's not funny. I'm not interested in, that's a stupid criticism. But yeah, I think she's hilarious, and she's just has some of the darkest, funniest lines and delivers them perfectly.
How many times did she say sorry in this film as well?
There's a drinking game for you.
Absolutely, yeah. And Wendy McClendon-Covey, I think is how you pronounce her name, plays Rita as well, who's the one with the three boys. Is that right?
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
She's really good.
I've never heard of her before, but she is just such a commanding presence in the film, and just her delivery is just fantastic.
Oh, yes. I snapped a sheet in half.
That's right.
They're disgusting.
I love that.
Any room with a TV.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Carpets are disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I just want to watch Jon Stewart without him entering me. So good.
She and a brave choice, because it's not an attractive character by any means, but she's so charismatic with it. She does a really good job. She's so funny.
So many great scenes in this film, bro. So do you have a favourite?
Oh, it's tough. It's so tough. The one that I really love is in part of the airplane sequence where Melissa McCarthy's sure that guy is an air marshal and keeps bugging him, and then when there's the reveal when Kristen Wiig goes off her tree and he gets up to try and arrest her, that is, for me, is hilarious. The payoff there is so good, and then Melissa McCarthy spear tackles Kristen Wiig to the ground. I mean, it's just so much going on there, and that probably, I don't know, it's hard to separate, but that's so good.
Yeah, when she's coming onto the air marshal and she lifts her leg and says, "Feel the heat." It's just like, that's one of the
something
moments.
About, that's my undercarriage or something.
Yeah.
What did she say there? What did she say?
Feel the heat of the undercarriage.
Feel the heat.
Yeah, feel the heat. It's just, again, just painting women as they actually are rather than these very well-behaved, caricatures.
Joe, do you have a favourite scene in this movie?
Oh, it's hard.
Have a lot.
I have so many. And on the plane, when she's drug affected and drunk, and just the fact that they changed. Well, she says to the flight attendant, she calls him Stove, like instead of Steve, right? That
name is Stove.
Oh, it's Steve. But that is a sort of joke that when you write it in a writer's room, like, would it be funny for her to call him Stove? Oh, I don't know. Put it in, but it's so trivial, but it's so clever.
Yeah.
It's so. But favourite scene, I don't like losing her shit at the bridal shower was pretty amazing. I struggle with the wedding dress fitting. I can't do shit in general. I know. But it just really, I struggle with that. But I know that it's very clever. So, but my favourite scene, probably that when they're having the big fight at the...
Where she destroys the massive cookie?
Yes, yeah.
Trying to tip over the chocolate.
She's trying to do that because everybody, and she's just so ineffectual. And everybody, I think we've all wanted to lose our shit, but you can't because you're going to be polite and you want, you got to keep your airs and graces. And everything around that is so clever. And the bridal shower being so over the top and that they get to take puppies away. The Labrador puppies.
I took 9. Yeah, that's right.
When they're leaving and
funny.
Gus's driving past, all the puppies are up in the window.
Andrew, do you have a favourite scene in this film?
Yeah, it is very hard. There's just a constant flow of great moments. I think it's the best sex scene in the film.
Yes.
I think that opening is just so funny.
It's good.
And so just the editing of it and just the hilarity of sex, it just it nails that, no pun intended, the awkwardness and the silliness of it sometimes. And I just thought it was very, very good.
The sequence later on as well when they're in bed again, when he just reaches over and grabs her by the breast and starts to do this really. Can he do this? He's just it's like an orange on there.
You got to watch the outtakes because they are almost as funny. Like just letting John Hamm do his thing, he is very, very funny.
There is a version. There's a sequence though. There's a little bit they wanted to use in that, which they couldn't use because John Hamm couldn't do it without breaking. Where he went over and kind of touched where her nipple would be and went. He makes like a ding dong noise. He loses his shit every time he goes to do it, and you can feel the guys behind the camera just like, come on, can't we just get one of these?
Yes,
and he's staring into her eyes as well. It's so funny.
But he just nails that kind of guy who just thinks he's so good and he's just so off the mark. Yeah. And there are men like that out there. God bless them, the poor fuckers. And the women who fall for it, it breaks your heart.
I don't know if you've heard interviews with John Hamm too. He's so frustrating because he's so good looking, such a great actor, and he's so humble about it.
Oh, yeah.
He's the most relaxed kind of guy, and when he got to LA, he kind of hit the comedy scene. That was the way he hung out. He went and hung out. So he met a lot of these comedians when they were up and coming, and that's why he's friends with.
You just want to see him just get some kind of leading man role in a comedy or something. He seems destined for comedy, I reckon.
Yeah, like I said at the top of the show, though, this is probably the first time I've seen him be out and out funny. I think some of his other roles...
Oh, he's great in 30 Rock.
Yeah, he's good in 30 Rock, but I find his character too kind of sketchy, too comic. It's too farcical almost, and it frustrates me. But...
I mean, he must get sick of being in the madman role. He must just want to explode into something else.
It must be great for him to be able to do both.
Yes,
Very serious Don Draper and then break.
Well, but that's finishing now, isn't it? The Madman's...
It is.
Over.
So we're very curious to see what he does next. And he has got, people like Paul Feig and Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. They're big fans of his. So... watch this space.
They made an interesting decision during the sex scenes that we were just talking about, actually. Paul Feig and Kristen Wiig made a deliberate decision for Annie to keep her bra on during her sex scenes with Ted, but to have her take it off during her sex scene with Nathan as a way of symbolising that Annie feels that she can open up emotionally as well as physically to Nathan in a way that she can't do to Ted, which is a nice little touch as well. Judd Apatow pushed hard for wild physical comedy, while Annie Mumolo and Kristen Wiig preferred to go for subtler comedy. The film's most notorious sequence, the diarrhea scene, was largely at the insistence of Apatow and director Paul Feig. So
that's interesting.
Could have been a very, very different movie if the other direction was taken.
Certainly my husband wouldn't love it as much. And he is an evangelist when it comes to this film. And if you haven't seen it and he knows about it, he will make sure you see it. And he will make sure he's there with you, although... He's a bit of he anticipates jokes now, so that's really annoying when you're sitting next to someone who does that.
Is he the type that does it before out loud?
Not quite, but he sits there, like, can't wait, and then he's looking at you, waiting for the response. Yeah.
I've seen this film 100 times, and I've already drunk 3 bottles of wine.
That's right. So, and his laugh is unnervingly loud, so, don't see a film with my husband.
It's confident today.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how people can actually see Bridesmaids in this day and age. So there's the DVD and Blu-ray release. It came out later the same year, which is definitely a sign of the times, Brose. The way that they're pumped out within months now from their theatrical release. Otherwise, they miss the window.
That's right. You got to capture the market before they can start downloading it.
Yep.
Get it out there.
But is there any more schizoid studio than Universal currently releasing Blu-rays? Because Universal continually offers substandard catalogue releases, but they're really reliable. They do knockout releases with new releases, like something new, like Bridesmaids, where it's it looks incredible. But I'm telling you now that the way that they release their catalogue films,
it's disappointing.
Very disappointing.
This is something you're quite passionate about.
Yeah, very passionate about.
I can tell.
Joe can see it in my face right now.
This is really
That's
something.
getting intense.
And it's something I've never thought of, I must say. So
if you're listening, Universal, Adam has a few words that he'd like to have with you.
Get me into their marketing department.
I went to Universal when I was in LA the first time and did the tour and everything. And they're so proud of their back catalogue and their Oscar winners and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, you don't show it with your Blu-ray releases. Let's have some consistency here. And they did their big 100 years of Universal and same kind of thing. Like, you talk about this legacy. So why don't you back it up a bit? But there's
a particular film that looks really great, so from a Universal catalogue release.
Would that be Back to the Future?
Thank you. Joe doesn't understand the gag.
No, I don't. But
we do mention Back to the Future pretty much in every episode.
Okay.
It is Adam's favourite film.
All right. Of all time?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's big. It's big call, isn't it? He's happy to put it out there.
Every day. Stand behind it. That's
right. Adam watches Back to the Future every day.
No, I like it too much to watch it every day. In the sense, I wouldn't want it to be.
It would ruin it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
every second day.
Every second day.
He does dress as Marty McFly every day, though.
Except today. I made the exception.
Do you dream of the day when a hoverboard actually does exist?
Oh yeah. Flying cars.
Yeah.
We've talked about we've had conversations already about Back to the Future things that should exist.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
It is the big 30th anniversary this year, so we will be talking about it later in the year.
30th anniversary of Back to the Future this year, really?
Apparently.
Right,
can I just say something? Back to the Future.
So on this Blu-ray, there's 2 versions of the film. There's the theatrical cut and the unrated cut.
I love this. I hate when they release just the extended version and you can't watch the original theatrical release.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's a reason why they cut those sequences out. The one that I go back to all the time is Stripes. They finally released Stripes on DVD and they put some scenes back that were cut out and they're absolutely awful. Even though they explain a couple of things that are unexplained in the theatrical release, I don't care. There's a reason they were cut. They make the film overly long. They slow down the plot. They slow down the comedy. Just leave it out or let me choose between the two versions.
It feels really self-indulgent, doesn't it?
Yeah. You fall in love with the film. You don't need the extended version. You don't always want to go back to the extended version. You want to go back to the film you fell in love with. And sometimes those extra scenes you kind of twitch a bit and you're like, I just don't need this. Bridesmaids is a little bit different. The extended version is exceptional. But yeah, some films you just don't. Just give me the option.
Can you? I don't think I've seen the extended version. Has everyone seen that one? I don't know what the differences are.
I will. I will actually get very shortly. I'll give a bit of a rundown.
My apologies.
No worries, mate. A little bit of a rundown of what the differences are. Just about 5 or 6 extended scenes, pretty much. I think. But there's a lot of good stuff on the Blu-ray. There's a lot of deleted scenes and extended alternate scenes. But the main thing, Brose, which I know that you've checked out, is the commentary.
Yeah.
Now, that's got director Paul Feig, co-writer Annie Mumolo, and the cast members Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, Melissa McCarthy, Wendy McClendon-Covey, and Ellie Kemper are all there.
Look, in terms of the informative value of the commentary, it's not overly informative, but it is a lot of fun. And these girls, so they recorded it the day before it was released theatrically. So obviously Final Cut was finalised, and they recorded it within a few days of that. Paul Feig acts basically as the director, as the host. He kind of guides the girls through, and then they joke about the water that they're drinking, but they're obviously drinking champagne or wine while they record it. So it's got this very loose, casual... You can feel the chemistry that all the girls have together. At the start, they talk over each other a little bit, but then they loosen up and allow each other to talk. And so you can tell they're having a really good time recording it. You can tell that it's just they're enjoying the film. They don't fall into the trap of watching the film, which is dangerous in commentaries. And then Paul Feig, every now and then, like one of the things he does, he tweeted to whoever to let them know they were recording the commentary for that day, and then fans sent questions in via Twitter. And he asks those questions throughout the commentary, so it gives a bit of a structure.
That's cool.
And there are times where Feig has obviously watched the film and written down notes and asked particular people, what were you thinking in this moment, and talks to Kristen Wiig and Annie Mumolo about the script writing. So it's got a really good structure to it. It holds together really well. And if you love the film, just give it a watch because it's fun, especially if you've seen it a few times. It's fun. It's kind of like hanging out with the girls as they watch the film and joke around about it. So yeah, it's good. I'd probably say a good solid 3.5-star commentary. It's good. It's good fun. Yeah.
Was there anything else of note on this Blu-ray that people should check out from what you saw?
I was going to say there's a lot of deleted scenes, extended scenes, alternate takes. There's a lot of this material. I sat up the other night and watched them all. It took me a good hour and a half or something to get through them. They are hilarious, but I don't know what the right context would be to watch them, and I wouldn't recommend watching them all in one go. But you could easily sit down and watch half an hour of them and find them quite entertaining because they are incredibly funny. They are just brilliant.
Can you see why most of it was taken out as well?
Not necessarily. Well, because what happens with the alternate versions, for instance, you just get to see the performers playing on set. So the tennis match is a good example where Kristen Wiig and her partner, there's a little pep-up talk they have at one point. And so just all the different variations of Kristen Wiig having a go at her tennis partner and then her reactions to different things is quite funny. And then seeing the other actress, who I'm not sure what her name is off the top of my head, seeing her, you can see her thinking more because Kristen's put the challenge up. Kristen's going to be this funny, and so she increases her funny to match it. And so just watching, say, 8 different takes or 8 variations of that pep talk is hilarious because you can see them, reacting differently, and so it becomes a little sketch.
Yep.
And so they stand along quite well. But all of those, I think, in part go to creating that myth. And they're just something fun and help loosen people up a bit, and they're great to watch. They're good fun. Yeah.
Andrew, let's talk a little bit about the music in this film. Again, just like what we discovered with Easy A, not a huge amount of score by composer Michael Andrew. I did notice there was a little bit used in there for dramatic effects, but this is mainly a song-driven movie. So what can you tell us about the music?
Well, he's interesting because Michael Andrew, he did the Donnie Darko score, which was fantastic. It was just a real cult classic, that film.
Yeah.
The film and the music.
And recently Funny People and Bad Teacher.
Yeah, so he's going to become more of a Judd Apatow kind of composer. And it does a nice job with this film. I mean, it's really subtle, which it should be. And it just underplays the more kind of down and out moments of the film, and it still has a little bit of humour in there, and it kind of has almost kind of slightly kind of carnival-like kind of sound to it at times, which kind of works. And yeah, it's done really well. But I think the music choices are the key in the film that are done exceptionally well and just heighten the comedy. Again, the tennis match with the use of AC/DC is just a brilliant choice.
And AC/DC don't like giving their music out to films.
Yeah, you don't hear them often.
You know why?
No.
Last Action Hero.
What?
Really?
Yeah, massive flop. They felt a bit burnt by that.
Ah.
Ooh.
But they did the whole soundtrack to Maximum Overdrive, the Stephen King adaptation, and then they did Last Action Hero, and then now they're kind of like, even though there was an Australian film, Thunderstruck, and they'd only give them one song for that film, and it wasn't Thunderstruck.
Digging the heels here.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
But yeah, they're very reluctant. They'll pop up in trailers, so the Iron Man trailer, and actually AC/DC did Iron Man 3 as well. I think they let them use their songs.
Okay.
So they're a little bit more so now, but traditionally they're very reticent to let their films be licensed, and then likewise charge a fortune to let you do it.
Wilson Phillips, however, would just they were knocking on the door. Just take us, please. Can we be in it?
How good is that moment?
It's so great.
I forgot how big that song was at the time. And I used to love that song. And they were talking in the commentary about how surprised they were that Rose Byrne knew all the lyrics. So even in Australia, people knew that song. I was like,
well, we do have a radio.
I know,
just one that the whole country gathers around.
One of those beautiful ignorant moments.
Yeah.
But
Britney Spears, apparently.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Blondie, it's all there.
Blondie, that's a great choice. The Blondie track at the start of the film is really, really a great set of the tone.
Yeah, so I think we all agree the music, all appropriate choices.
Yeah,
in this film.
really well done.
Yeah, so we did touch a little bit about the theatrical version and the unrated version. The new material is narrowed down to scene extensions, which also could have been removed from the theatrical version to streamline it a bit more than anything else. 6 minutes and 33 seconds longer it is than the one that was shown in the cinemas. So those scenes are the conversation between Annie and her mother is slightly longer, with her mother telling her about father's chicken coop sex act.
Yes,
and it also
so funny.
It also reveals that Annie's father grew up in a farm as well. Yeah, Becca mocks Annie for being single and offers to arrange a date for her. There's an extended scene as well. The car ride with Lillian and Annie after the bridal store fiasco is longer and different than the theatrical version. In the new cut, after Lillian admits crapping her wedding dress, Annie starts to feel uncomfortable, gets out of the car and throws up.
Oh.
So you've only seen the...
I have seen it because I have seen definitely that scene with the mother where she's talking about her father's testes. I do remember that. But I'm not sure if I recall the other bits.
When Annie is in the bathroom, Gil and his sister were in the bathtub together. He asks Annie to hand her the disposable shaver and shaves his sister's armpits. It's revolting. I saw that last night.
It's so funny.
It's so bad.
Alternate takes for that too, which
Ultimate
are very
awkward.
funny.
Hey?
There are alternate takes for that scene.
Oh,
which
cool.
Are very funny too.
Yeah. The major addition, though, there's a new 5-minute scene where Annie has a date with a guy called Pete. While waiting at the living room for Pete to get ready, she has a very uncomfortable conversation with his son.
It's brilliant. I have seen that scene. Okay. It is so funny.
His son, Taylor, he's talking about his a fear of dying, asking about Annie replacing his mother, etc., etc. After Annie goes upstairs, she overhears Pete talking on the phone, telling his wife how he missed her and describes Annie as unattractive. Shocked by that, she goes back downstairs and she sees Taylor taking some of her contraceptive pills before leaving the house hastily, saying something shocking is going to happen to your body. I don't know what it is, but something bad's going to happen.
So good. I loved that scene. You know, it just speaks so beautifully to how damaged she is and how shit her life is.
Absolutely.
But also those tiny characters that you have along the way, like in the jewelry store when she has the fight with the 13-year-old.
So one of the deleted scenes that's worth mentioning too that's on the DVD, it's not in the extended version. She goes on a date with Paul Rudd, plays a character.
Yeah.
And it's very funny, but you can see why it was taken out because it's too long and doesn't fit. But Paul Rudd in the first scene is like the perfect man, and then they go on an ice skating date and he just turns into a real sooky, whingy, selfish prick and gets really angry. And it's very funny. Paul Rudd is hilarious. It's one of those frustrating sequences you're watching going, oh, this is really funny. It's really annoying it's been cut out, but you wouldn't put it back in. So,
And the only other little extension was the home video of Megan and John is slightly longer. You know the bit that plays during the end credits?
Yes.
Where they're making their own tape?
Yeah, cute.
She sticks a slice of ham on his chest and eats them. However, John's reaction doesn't tell whether he likes it or not. So they just made a little extension there for some reason.
That sequence with their so-called sex cut tape was originally shot as an online extra, or as a short film, or shot as a little comedy short film. And then the editor, Paul Feig, was saying that when the editor finished the final cut, the editor put it in at the end of the film, and then Paul Feig saw it there and thought, we'll just leave that in because it's quite funny. And from memory, I think the air marshal is
her husband.
Melissa McCarthy's real life husband.
And he seems to be in almost every film she does as a little cameo.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do we have any collectibles from Bridesmaids, Bruce?
Of course we don't. But I'm going to use the collectibles section today to mention a tiny little bit of trivia that excited the hell out of me. The house where they have the bridal shower is the house they used for the external shots of Wayne Manor in the 60s Batman.
Oh, wow.
God, what
there you go.
trivia.
I can imagine. Have you got that DVD set yet, by the way, Bruce? That Batman...
No, I don't have it.
You've been talking about that for a while.
No, it's expensive. But I will be getting it eventually. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. That's mentioned in the commentary, and I got really excited. Then I looked it up online and cross-referenced it, and it is correct. So there you go.
There you go.
Very nice. This is the first Judd Apatow production to receive Academy Award nominations. So, 2 nominations: Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role for Melissa McCarthy, and Best Writing Original Screenplay for Christian Wiig and Annie Mumolo. So, quite significant.
Well deserved too.
And really significant because comedies don't get noms very often.
That's right.
And I think stupidly because I think they can be harder to do really than
true.
a biopic about someone in Americans' history.
Yep.
Like that's sort of, to me, much easier to make.
Just join the dots, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Whereas a comedy like this is, the subtleties involved.
Science fiction horror films, another hard genre to get into the Academy Awards as well. So dramas just dominate, really, don't they?
They do, and I'm so cynical and get so sick of dramas. Just
historical dramas, especially.
So boring.
Me too.
So boring.
Over it.
That's
it. And at the Golden Globes as well, it was nominated Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Comedy or Musical for Kristen Wiig, and Best Motion Picture, Comedy or Musical. So significant nominations there.
So it should.
The Rotten Tomatoes website certifies Bridesmaids fresh with a score of 90%. Very, very high. Wow. 226 positive, only 26 negative. Wow. So that's very, very good. IMDb score 6.8 out of 10.
Oh, that's
I think that's low.
I think that's low, yeah.
It's pretty low.
Very surprising.
Yeah, definitely. Roger Ebert gave the film 3.5. Oh, yeah. Andrew's favourite. Roger Ebert gave the film 3.5.
You did in the past episodes.
I think Stuart hates Roger Ebert, doesn't he?
I know, but you said he was dead. You said, thank God he's dead.
Oh, no,
It's a bad day that day. I'm sorry. I'm in a bit of a mood.
Andrew was angry that day, my friend.
Roger Ebert gave the film 3.5 out of 4 and said that Bridesmaids seems to be more or less a deliberate attempt to cross the chick flick with the raunch comedy. It definitely proves that women are the equal of men in vulgarity, sexual frankness, lust, vulnerability, overdrinking, and insecurity. Love him or not, Judd Apatow is consistently involved with movies that connect with audiences.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
cool. So 3.5 out of 4 from...
Yeah,
that's
3.5 out of 4. Critic Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly pointed out the significance of Bridesmaids' success as follows. So far, the message that Hollywood seems to have taken from the incredible success of Bridesmaids is a predictably reductive one, something along the lines of, hey, look, raunchy comedies for women with awesome gross-out scenes in the middle of them can be big box office draws as well. The message that Hollywood should be taking is a comedy that's raunchy and fearless and also brilliantly written and shrewdly honest about what's really going on in women's lives may actually connect with the fabled non-teenage audience. Remember them?
Oh, the non-teenage.
Yeah.
Although, do you know, interestingly, when I went and saw it, for some God knows, I don't know, reason, a bunch of teenagers came into the cinema and were in front of us. Ooh, and I was like, why? Firstly, it was like at least an M or even more here.
It would have been MA. I reckon.
Yeah, well, they ruined the viewing experience for me, I must say. So teenagers in general I dislike, but that day... well, not when you're seeing a Bridesmaids, like, you know, there you got a 14-year-old giggling in front of you.
She doesn't go into bloody... Mockingbird J thing and
that is true. I don't ruin their viewing pleasure.
I really hate the gross out comedy and raunch comedy labels because this film is not that.
It's not
that. It doesn't rest its laurels on it. It doesn't rely on it. And that's the thing that stuffed the Farrelly brothers is I think they thought they were only gross out comics, whereas their best movies are really heartfelt, honest, relatable stories with incredible casting and great scripts, and they just fell into the trap of keep being gross out. And I'm sure Kristen Wiig and Annie Momolo won't fall into the trap here, but this is not a gross-out or launch comedy. It's just an honest comedy. It's just a brilliantly funny, honest comedy that doesn't pull any punches, including the extremes that are gross, but then also the moments that are sweet. So I get really frustrated by that simplicity of just narrowing it down. Oh, it's because it's raunchy in the middle. No, it's not. It's because it's funny, you dickhead.
And they're real people.
They're real people. Yeah, there's an empathy that you can have with these characters.
Like Joe's already said today as well. She connects with them. One of the reasons you connected with the movie is because you said that's how women really talk.
It is how women really talk. It is how women interact. And of course women can be gross and raunchy in this, as they said in this review, as men can, but that doesn't mean that they are two-dimensional or stereotype like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Despite the majority of praise, the film was not without its detractors. The reviewers of Spill.com, who are they, gave it an aggregate, some old bullshit, saying that the main character played by Kristen Wiig was an annoying, horrible person who was a victim of her own circumstance. However, they praised the performances of Melissa McCarthy and Chris O'Dowd, so...
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be called shit.com.
Yeah. They should team up with dead Roger Ebert.
That's it. So let's wrap this up with our traditional 5-star review system per guest. So as usual, I'll start over here with you, Andrew, and also whether or not you recommend Bridesmaids.
I think this is one of the funniest comedies I think I've seen. I love it to bits, and I watched it last night actually, and I actually had tears rolling down my face for most of it, and I can't say that for many films. I must say most comedies.
It needs to be a good comedy for you, my friend.
Well, that's it. Most comedies I loathe because I just resent them because they're manipulative and they're not funny. So, but this film gets me every time. So, I love it a lot. I'd have to just give it 5 stars because...
Wow!
Is that your first 5-star review? No.
I'm going to need a new sound effect for shock moment.
Wow.
I'm going to need that
Get
now.
that Sell the Century sound or something. I'm going
to need to put something in there, bro, because...
I feel bad. I wasn't going to give it 5 stars, but I'm...
Well, don't be precious.
So much pressure.
Well, no, go with it. I'm just saying, like, that's really...
I just feel like...
Deal.
If that's how you feel, I'm not pushing it. That's brilliant. Go for it.
Because it's just, as a comedy, it works tenfold, and it's a go-to every time, and, that'll be in, like, the handful of comedies that I go to, whenever I want to laugh.
Yeah.
What can you say?
Wow.
Therefore, I'd recommend it highly.
That's great.
Bro.
Highly recommend this film. These girls are all at the peak of their career, at the peak of they're funny, and it's hilarious. I'm giving it a 4-star review. For me, I guess the only thing that stops me going back and watching it over and over is the length is a bit on the long side for me. I like a 80-90 minute comedy. I like to jump in and jump out. I don't want to be... And not that I would cut anything out of this film, but that length just stops me going back to it as much as I'd like to. But otherwise, absolutely
you're
brilliant.
a busy man, obviously.
I'm a busy guy.
You got a lot on.
Well, I've got to fit in Back to the Future every day.
I can see.
It's not easy.
You got to polish all your figurines over there. That's
you can look closer, you'll see.
You got dusting to do.
I don't have time for that either.
No.
But you know how hard it is to put a doona back together after it's snapped. I mean, I'm a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. Solid 4-star. Solid 4-star. It's a great comedy. It's a great film. I love Kristen Wiig, and I love everything about this film is great. But like I said, for a comedy, I just want to get in and out a little bit quicker than 2 hours and 5 minutes. But definitely recommend it. Get along. If you haven't seen it, then go and see it. If you don't think chicks are funny, you're sexist for starters. But secondly, watch this film.
Yep,
it's undeniable. This
Agreed.
film is brilliant.
Yeah,
Joe.
Well, I'm going to go with 5 stars as well because
you chose it.
I did choose it.
I give it 2 stars. Piece of shit.
Actually, I don't think it's much chop. No, because I think it's just skillful storytelling and really skillful dialogue as well. It's just so real and natural. The relationships are natural, and those beautiful moments between Chris O'Dowd and Kristen Wiig, where it's just the silences are really clever. So it's as beautiful in what's not said as in as much as what is said, and I think that's such clever filmmaking.
So recommend it?
Oh, go.
Highly recommended.
Watch it as many times as you manage to fit into your sorry
if you're
life.
a teenager, get the hell out of there.
No, don't. No, teenagers can watch it. Just don't watch it with me. So
what you're saying is if your husband comes across a bunch of teenagers that haven't seen it, don't invite them over.
Oh, no. Do you know what? And he could.
I don't know why your husband's talking to teenagers.
Oh, well, thankfully he steers clear of chitty chat with teenagers, but he does strike up conversations with strangers all the time, so...
Bridesmaids and Blade Runner. Only films that start with B, is that?
Yeah, he does love Blade Runner. That is true. That's a great film.
That is an amazing film.
Yeah.
We'll be coming back to that.
We will be. We'll be looking at that at Real Chat very soon. That's right. So,
Adam, it's your turn.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty much going to echo what you were saying as well, bro. So I give it 4 stars. But like for a film like this, that's an exceptionally high score in my opinion.
I agree.
It has so many great performances and really stellar direction, and that stuff is something I guess with what I do as well, bro. So I really sort of focus in on that, and if I'm there, if I feel direction's good and I'm there with the characters, then I'm in the mode of the film, and I just go with it. It's hilarious, this movie,
Yeah. It is laugh out loud fun
for 2 hours.
Yeah.
As well, it actually holds your attention for that whole time.
We talked about earlier. Sorry to interrupt. One of the things we talked about earlier is because there's all these different types. There's the gross out jokes, but then there's more subtle, intimate jokes. Like because there's so many different types of way to get comedy, you don't get worn out.
No,
we get the same jokes or the same style of comedy over and over. You can get worn out very quickly.
Yeah,
it has so much light and dark and shade and such a full spectrum of comedy that you just go with it.
But also the way that they are able to paint very, very clear, complicated pictures of small characters in really small scenes is so clever.
Yeah.
We know all of those characters beautifully in and out with very, they're not laboured, the scenes.
And just quickly as well, she may just be a bridesmaid in the film, but I think that Wig is primed to be the bride of major film stardom in the coming years.
Nice.
Okay.
So, but look, recommended for sure. Like, for guys and girls equally, completely around the board. You know, I hope more men who might be listening, Brose, as well, might go and check it out based on what we've had to say.
This is not a chick flick. It's just a great comedy.
Yeah. Brose, it is now time for
The Assignment.
Thank you very much.
I'm actually quite nervous about the assignment this week. So the assignment, for those that aren't in the know, is a little segment we do occasionally where we challenge each other to watch a film that we would have not seen before and have refused to watch for whatever reason.
Funny. Are you doing that sort of partly as a practical joke to make people watch really bad films?
It's the flip side of it as well is that we have to watch the film and then say something positive about it.
Oh, okay.
So it's an exercise in positivity.
Sure.
And try and work out, especially if it's a film that is well loved by a certain group, let's have a look at it and work out why it's well loved.
Okay.
In contrast to why we may have refused to see it. The first one we did with Stu, we made him watch the remake of Psycho because he's a massive Hitchcock fan and he'd never seen it before. He struggled to say anything positive about that film, and he's correct.
Pointless was what he said about that film.
And then on the back of Stu, Stu then challenged Andrew to watch House Bunny because of his love of Emma Stone and I guess really bad comedies.
So you checked this out.
I sure have, yeah. I watched that. I watched the film in 2 parts, and
does that mean you snapped it?
I've got it here for you in pieces, Brose. No. Look, it wasn't that bad. I must admit.
To time Andrew's response, we're going to get. What have we got? 30 seconds.
He's got 60 seconds to say nothing negative about it.
Nothing negative. Are you prepared?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, your time starts now.
House Bunny, that's the film. Quite funny, quite surprisingly funny. I wouldn't say hilarious, but it was funny in parts. I think Anna Faris does a really good job when she's got the right material behind her, and this is probably one of her better efforts. And even Emma Stone kind of not quite won me over, but there was very strong performance from her, and I think that she made it certainly a better film by being in the film, which is hard for me to say, but that is. And we've talked about the length.
That on tape.
The length of films, very short film, also good. It's a quick film's a good one in this case, and it buzzed past pretty quickly, and I was able to come out unscathed.
15 seconds.
Thank you very much for this experience.
Wow,
he couldn't quite do it.
He couldn't quite do it. But that's pretty decent, and we may be converting Andrew.
And time. There we go.
We may convert him into an Emma Stone fan yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's quite positive.
Full on.
What about if you need to I don't know, just balance things out a little bit now to make yourself feel better? What are the negatives of the film, just very quickly?
I think it's a bit one note, the idea. It's a bit simplistic.
The plot of House Bunny, people don't know, is about an ex-Playboy pet who is kicked out of the Playboy mansion and then moves into a sorority house at a college and then turns these very nerdy... So I haven't seen it, but it sounds like I have, doesn't it?
The premise is appalling.
Yeah, makes them over into Barbie dolls.
Oh, wow.
Makes them attractive, basically.
And then at the very end of the film realises, hey, we probably should flip this around and have a moral at the end of it. It's just kind of seems a little bit of an afterthought.
Learn something too.
Yeah, that's right.
So the negative, just.
It's not a wonderful film. I mean, it's aimed at obviously, I'd say teenage girls, and I'd say it could well be
it's in that market though.
It's probably the
weird market
worst kind of message to kind of be throwing out there for them, but it does eventually turn around.
It's good to be smart, but it's better to be smart and pretty. Is that the moral of this film?
I would say that comes close. Yeah,
I'm trying my hardest to be as pretty as I can, but
and don't have any kind of abnormalities or anything like that. Otherwise, people just won't like you.
That's true.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Obviously,
there's too much truth.
Yeah.
This film's pretty deep.
Yeah, so look, it's it could be like, I don't think it's funny enough to say it's going to be like the Happy Gilmore of its generation or anything like that. It's not quite a classic like that. It's kind of mildly humorous.
Out of 5?
2.
Yeah, okay, I think that's
2.
Still better than Easy A.
It's still better than Score for Easy A.
Yeah, I actually laughed in this one.
Oh.
Hey, there we go.
So now, as is tradition, it's now your job to...
That's right.
somebody else's life by giving them a film to watch.
And it might be just your life that we're talking about.
That's exactly what I was worried about. I got a very subtle text from Andrew yesterday, I think it was, just saying, so, Brose, what genre of film would you not like to watch?
Hey.
Very subtle stuff.
He didn't give me anything, which is playing his cards very close to his chest. So I've had to come up with something, and I'm going to fire it at you. How about Inland Empire, the David Lynch...
I have no idea what that is.
3-hour sprawling weirdness.
Oh, my God.
3 hours?
Yes.
And 3 hours of David Lynch as well.
David Lynch.
Got him.
Kidding me?
Got him.
You're gonna
Brilliant.
kill me.
Brilliant choice,
That's
Andrew.
the response I was after, so that'll be the one.
What's it called?
It's Inland Empire, and it is one of his most bizarre films, which does say something quite significant.
You're going to end up rocking in a corner. Like, there's
I'm
no...
in the corner just thinking about it.
Brilliant choice, Andrew.
Yeah, many people can't decipher it. I'm wondering if you can.
Yeah, yes.
No.
So, come back in 2 weeks' time and we'll get Brose's review. There we go. We've silenced him,
Deflated.
Andrew. He's a deflated man. He's a deflated man. So.
Can you do something while you're watching it? You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm watching something really bad, I'll fold the laundry or something, so it's not wasted.
If I get too interested in the other activity, I'm not going to pay enough attention to the film.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just have it on while I clean the house. And...
Yeah.
That's cheating. I watched
Dust your
House
figurines.
Party.
Yeah.
Figurines.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got to go into the bedroom and dust a figurine.
Jesus.
It's something else.
Shit.
I'm going to picture the House Bunny while I watch David Lynch.
Next week on Real Chat, we've got probably the most ambitious film that we've looked at so far, Brose, for so many reasons.
This is going to be a tough one to digest.
Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and how do we come up with new material, Brose? We're going to give it a shot. We're going to do our best.
Such a big challenge.
It is.
It's always hard when you're talking about a film that's been talked about a lot for 30 years. So
or longer.
It's going to be a challenge, but it'll be great fun, and it's a great film. So check that out.
So no, thanks very much, guys, and special thank you to you, Joe.
My
thank
pleasure.
you so much
Thank
for coming
you
on.
so
Have a
much.
good time.
I want to go home and watch the Bridesmaids again. Yeah. I really do.
You get to watch the special features too.
I will.
Yep.
I will.
Absolutely. So thanks very much, guys, and we'll catch up with you all soon. Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Stay in touch with us by visiting realchat.com.au. Check us out on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter at RealChatPodcast, Instagram real_chat_podcast. And if you haven't already, catch up with past episodes and subscribe to new episodes on iTunes.